Hi guys, it's Cal from Nerdy Weasel, and we're back with, I think, what will be our last step for installing Skyrim Redone for Mod Organizer and how to integrate them all with your different weapons and armor mods. And today we're going to be talking about a couple different components, namely the unofficial Skyrim Redone patch done by the Skyrim Compatibility and Reproccer patches team, namely a lot of help from Raulfin on that one. And we'll also be talking about Wrye bash and how to create a bash patch and where to put it in your load orders. So I hope this is the last thing we have to do for this to make it all work together, and let's get right to it and go to our desktop. Alright, the first thing we're going to cover is the unofficial Skyrim Redone patch, also known as USKRP. You know, when I did my Skyrim Redone video for Mod Organizer, I initially said that USKRP wasn't going to be in my load order, and I wasn't going to use it. And then I had a long talk with Raulfin from the unofficial, or rather the Skyrim Compatibility and Reproccer patches team. Also, I'll call him SKRP for short. And he convinced me to give it a try, and we initially had some problems getting it to integrate with Mod Organizer, and then we continued to work on it, and we came up with a solution. I've been testing it the last couple weeks, and it seems to be working fairly well. I haven't had any crashes or freezes, and we'll go through this, and you can see what we've got going on. So let's go over to Mod Organizer, and you can see the present setup. You know, there's Tendo Skyrim Redone right there, and it's in the preferred slot, and we'll just highlight that. And what we're going to need is go over the internet, and you can see the SkyRe Compatibility and Reproccer patches by Zathra. Now, when you go down to the file section, you're going to see, slowly, the unofficial Skyrim Redone patch, USKRP, bug fixes for SkyRe version 1.3.01. Read the information in the included README and the sticky. Not doing so can result in bad things happening. Well, we've kind of gone over all that. We're going to show you how to make it work. Now, you can just download with Manager, or you can download manually. I've already got it in Mod Organizer. And, you know, through testing, of course, it shows that it is grayed out, but that's okay. We want to go ahead, and the first thing we're going to do is show you what happens when you install it as you would any other official Skyrim patch. You know, unofficial patches go after the different modules that they have. So Dawnguard, followed by the unofficial Dawnguard patch, and so forth. And plugins, it all works out the same way. Okay. See how they're all ordered in that way? So our initial thought was we'll go ahead and install it right after Skyrim Redone. And we will show you what happens when you do that. So install that. We got an official Skyrim Redone patch. And you can see it's going to replace a bunch of different things. Now, when you come do this, you're going to see a bunch of different stuff. And you're going to see SkyRe main, enemy scaling fixes, basically just like Skyrim Redone. Okay, so you would click the things you have. And I'm going to click the ones that I have, and we're going to go with it. And there's an additional mine script. I have SkyRe with CCOR, complete crafting overhaul remade, or without. I chose without. And we'll click next, and it will load it up. Now, what happens is you move it up underneath Tendo Skyrim Redone, which is right there. And if you activate it, give it a second, you're going to throw an error. And let's go look at that, what that error may be. Potential mod order problem. Move Tendo Skyrim Redone after Skyrim official Skyrim Redone patch, USKRP. Alright, well that's not going to work for us. Besides, it was kind of unstable. So, one of the things that they talk about is you don't want to have USKRP overwritten by anything. So if we were to do that, move it up above Tendo Skyrim Redone, and give it a second, it will show that it is going to be overwritten. Let's refresh it to speed this thing up a bit. And there you go. You can see now it's being overwritten by Skyrim Redone. Well, that's not going to work for us. So we unclick that, and we will remove mod. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at Skyrim Redone. And we will go ahead and open it in our Information tab. And look at the file tree. You can see basically it has all of these ESPs. Okay, remember the basic sizes. I mean, you look at the main, 2.3 megabytes, enemy scaling 721 kilobytes, enemy AI 8. Okay, we'll just remember that 8. That's the smallest number here, and so it's enemy AI, 8 kilobytes. Okay, so we'll close that down. Now, this is the solution we came up with. I want you to go ahead and right-click, rename the mod. And we are going to go Skyrim Redone USKRP. Hit enter. Right? It's still showing it's being overwritten, but that's okay. It's having been affected by immersive NPCs in the dark, but that's all right. Now, come back over here, and I want you to reinstall this again. Okay? Double-click it. And instead of naming it that, I want you to go ahead and name it exactly as we have over there. So we're going to go Skyrim Redone. Oops, hang on. Forgot to highlight it. Skyrim Redone USKRP. So it looks exactly the same. Okay. And we go ahead and click the same stuff we had before, and you have to make sure you click exactly the same as what's in Skyrim Redone, or this will throw an error, and we don't want that to happen. Enemy scaling, standing stones, I don't have races, I don't have encounter zones, I have enemy AI, combat fixes, and I want it without CCOR. Okay, and click next, and it's going to throw a window up. Mod exists. This mod seems to be installed already. Do you want to add the files from this archive, overriding ones? Or do you wish to completely replace? Alternatively, you can install this mod under a different name. What we're going to do is merge this patch with Skyrim Redone. Okay, and we click merge. All right. Now you don't see anything happening here, and that's fine. What you will see is that it has been renamed to version 2.5.1 that would match up with the unofficial Skyrim Redone patch. Okay, and that's fine. Skyrim Redone doesn't change that much. The USKRP does. So we'll now recheck that, open in Info, and go to our file tree. And you can see all those values changed. So what's happened is it has merged the fixes that were in the USKRP into Skyrim Redone. Okay? So survivalism's there, all the AI is there. AI's been changed a lot. That was the smallest one at 8 kilobytes. It is now 52 kilobytes. Okay? All this stuff has been changed. So it has been done. So we'll go and close that. So all these fixes that were in Unofficial Skyrim Redone patch are now there. Right? So what we will do is, I have to actually should remove this earlier, is remove that mod. Okay. Now, go over to your plugins. And you want to make sure that everything that was checked off on this, Skyrim Redone main has been unclicked. I want you to click that. I want you to go through and make sure everything that was unclicked by doing that merge gets re-clicked. Activate all these things in your plugins. Okay. And click that. And we're going to run loot. Sort plugins. And apply. There we go. Now you can see everything's back in its normal place where it belongs. And we're going to talk about load order now that we have loot finished. I want you to come up here, and I'm going to make a special note of this. This is the adjustment I have to do if you're going to run this. Okay, so we will go back to the internet and we'll look at Raulfin's suggested load order. You can see you have all these various, the USKP, US Unofficial Dawnguard patch, and so forth, and you come down through here. These are all examples. These are not specific load orders. You have to know your exact load order through the mod creator to know exactly what's going on. But here's the important part. Immersive armors, unique uniques, immersive weapons, weapon armor fixes. So basically, put all these things in your load order so that all the weapons and mods you have, whether it be these 4 or something else, make sure they're all above the SkyRe main. Okay? So that way the the order is correct. If you look at this, right? So you have all this up here. We'll go back and look at it again. Weapon armor fixes, okay? And we look down here, and there's one more thing I've locked, ELFX. Raulfin and I kind of worked on this, and he suggested moving ELFX enhancer ESP above SkyRe main. Okay, so look at this again. You can see ELFX is above SkyRe main. I'm not having any problems running it above the weapon mods. It's just not doing it. But what you want to do, if you wanted to lock this, unlock load order, if you wanted to lock it in place, and loot will move this down below here. Okay, move it below that. We don't want that. We want it above. Okay, so if you need to lock that, go ahead and right click, lock load order, just like that. Now loot will not move that around anymore, and it will stay right where it belongs. Okay, above SkyRe main, and that's very important. Right. Next step, we are now going to run the Reproccer, and just like before, we will now run the Reproccer, and we will click patch. And there we go. So now we have something on our overwrite. We know what that is. Highlight, right click, create mod. Now, as I always do, I do Reproccer patch USKRP. That way I know that this is with USKRP, and we're going to date that. Okay, this is with the Skyrim Redone USKRP merged. So it is the 27th. It's the 27th. There we go, and hit OK. And we activate it. And we'll just move that above Fiona. That's my test dummy profile. And you can see everything is back in its place. All right. So now you're ready to run. You've got USKRP all set and ready to go. And we can now move on to the next thing. All right. Now we're going to talk about Wrye. Wrye is a tool that used to be a mod manager back in the old days. It's lost a lot of its functionalities for that in favor of Mod Organizer and the advanced Nexus mod managers, but it still has an important role in any modder's lineup if they have a number of different mods that affect weapons and armors. And that has to do with the leveled lists. So what we're going to do is go ahead and go back to the internet, and we will look at Wrye. Wrye is right here on the Nexus mods. You can see there it is, 1840. And we'll go to the file section. And you could do the installer. I do not suggest that. My suggestion is to get the standalone executable, and you would download that manually. Okay, guys? So we will minimize that. You can see it's already on my desktop ready to go. And what I want to do is extract those files, and it's going to be the Mopey file. And you can just go ahead and put that on your desktop. And there you go. We'll close that down. Okay. Now it is here. Mopey. And what I do is, if you go into where your drive is, where you have your Steam apps, Common, Skyrim, there's your Skyrim file. I keep all of my tools, TS5 Edit, Loot, Mod Organizer, Nexus Mod Manager, on this front page of my hard drive. I want to drag and drop that in. There you go. So now that it's in the files, I can go ahead and get rid of this one. I want you to go back to Mod Organizer, and we are going to set up an executable, right? And we will go ahead and name this Wrye. Okay. And we are going to look for the binary. We're going to go find that executable. So click that, and we'll go down to our hard drive. It's this one. Okay. And you will see Mopey. Remember we put that in there? Open that up, and there's the executable. Okay. So open that file. Okay. So now it's set this executable inside of Mod Organizer. And it has the right thing. I want you to hit Add. There you go, Wrye, and close. So when you come over to your drop down for executables, there's Wrye bash right there. Okay. Now you can run this through your run button, or you can create a shortcut. You know I love my shortcuts in my toolbar, so we'll put it right up there. There you go. So before we run Wrye bash, let's go ahead and take a look at what Raulfin has to say about it. And it's going to be not that one. We'll come back to that in a second. And here we go. So this is what he talks about with work in progress. He's going to go through the steps you need to take. What we're looking for is this information down here. It's the second paragraph in this big chunk right here. So run loot to search your load order. See below for correct load order. Okay. And you can see where the bash patch will belong there. And with Reproccer patches, SkyRe, make sure you choose the correct same options in the second package as the first. Okay. Now, run loot to search your loader. See below for correct load order. Blah, blah, blah. Run Wrye bash to create and update your bash patch. Okay. So long as bash patch is placed above all your other mods and before the Reproccer patches, you'll be fine rebuilding the patch. Okay. I usually uncheck the plugins right after the bash patch to be on the safe side, but it's only supposed to integrate the data from the mods that are listed below it. Excuse me, my dinner's fighting back on me. If the bash patch is in the wrong place, fix it before updating it. Enable the pre-Reproccer patches and Reproccer ESP. Disable the unchecked the post-Reproccer patches. That's something I never do in my videos. I should always remember to tell you guys to do that, but I always forget. Ultimately, add the names of the post-Reproccer patches, blah, 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 blah. And the post-Reproccer patches must be ignored by the Reproccer when it's updating the patch. Run the Reproccer, enable the post-Reproccer plugins that you've disabled before, and play your game. Okay, so those orders are pretty clearly, and you can see the order we'll be putting this in is you have all your pre-Reproccers here, and then your bash patch goes above it. Okay, if you're making a merge patch, it goes above the bash patch. Okay, you got that? ESMs, ESPs, merge patch, bash patch, pre-Reproccers, Reproccers, and post-Reproccers. Okay? And he'll tell you using Wrye bash patch is highly, highly recommended. Alright, so that's what we're doing. So let's go ahead and go back to Mod Organizer, and we will run loot just to see if everything's in the right place. You know, we like doing that. There we go. Hit apply. And this time we're going to look at the detailer, and we're going to look at details, and you can see it has some suggestions for, you know, leveling the list for each of the patches. Okay, delev, relev, and you can see there's a lot of things here. Delev, relev names, all these things here, and we come down, we'll see a bunch more in a few minutes as we scroll down. SkyRe main, USP, delev, relev. Okay, these are all notes for Wrye bash to do its thing. Delev, relev. Weapon armor fixes, remed. Delev, relev, all sorts of stuff. SkyRe enemy scaling, relev. Okay, there we go. So we want to keep track of one. Let's keep track of realistic needs and diseases. Okay, it has a delev and relev button. Okay, so we can go ahead and close that. And close loot. And we have control again. So we'll go ahead and click Wrye bash. And let it run. And there we go. It's built its patch. Now, remember what he said. He said it's at the bottom right now. We need it above the Reproccers. So we're going to move it up there. There it is. Now, you'll see one thing in green right here. I know that move it, ESP is not a mergeable. So I want to unclick that. Unclick it. It is ready to go. Okay. So now we can go ahead and right click, build patch, rebuild patch is what we're looking for. Rebuild patch right there. Okay. And we are not going to merge these patches. We are going to just do level lists. Okay. Do the level lists, and there they are. Okay. Merge changes to level lists from active merge mods only. Advanced users may override relev, delev tags for any mod or active in the list below. When we click on that, you can remove it or do whatever, but we're going to leave it at automatic. Okay, and we will build that patch. And it's going to build a patch for us. And it will insert it into Mod Organizer when it's all done. And click OK. Activate patch, yes. Okay, it's done. We can now close that down. Okay. Now it's saying there's something in our override. Let's go down and take a look at it. And information. It's our bash patch. That's what we're looking for. So we will go ahead and right-click, create mod. Okay. Now we will go ahead and call it bash patch. You know, I like to date my mods. Ooh, cache patch. Wow. Bad keyboard skills. 9-27. Okay. Dated. Okay. And we will go ahead and move it up where they said. So it's the bash patch right there. Okay. We come over to our plugins. You can now see it's above the pre-Reproccer, which is what Raulfin was talking about, right? Okay. Bash patch above the pre-Reproccer patches. It's exactly what we want, right? So now he's saying that we need to go ahead and run the Reproccer once we disable the post-Reproccer. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we will get rid of this one since it's, and remove it. Okay, and we will disable the post-Reproccer, and everything's in place, ready to go. So we will now run the Reproccer again and create patch. There we go. Once again, it's going to show us something in our override, but we know it's there. We'll just go ahead and take a look. Reproccer patches, yes. And we will create mod. Reproccer patch. There it is. Bad keyboard skills again. 9-27. Okay. Hit OK. Enable that. We'll move it above my crash test dummy one and re-enable the post Reproccer. There we go. So everything should be in its place. We'll just double check, make sure everything is clicked that belongs to be clicked, and it all looks good. Everything is in the right order up here. You know, we have the USKRP, which is the merge patch we did in the previous segment. So I think we're ready to run. Let's go ahead and click our SKSE button right there, and we'll run the game and see if it works. Yes. Alright, there we go, guys. It works. Everything's ready to go, and no seems to be any problem. We're getting a little bit of stutter because I'm running FF split for recording for the desktop. But it works. There we go. And we'll hit quit. Go back to our desktop. There we go. Now, there was one thing I forgot to mention, is the move it may have been disabled. I think we probably went ahead and disabled it early on, so it's not going to have any problems. Let's just take a look. Move it, damn it, it's still there. Okay, so we're ready to go. So there you go. We covered a couple different topics today, guys. We covered USKRP, and that's the unofficial Skyrim Redone patch. And we covered how to create a Wrye bash and how to implement it into your game using Mod Organizer and all of the Reproccer patches that Raulfin suggests. So we are ready to go. I hope this was informative for you. Enjoyed the video. My name is Cal. I'm from Dirty Weasel, and I'm signing off.
I took an arrow. I took an arrow. I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow again.